Several days ago I went to the grocery store and bought strawberries on sale, so now I need to do something with them. But I also have some items in my pantries and that need to be used. So while I will be prepping the strawberries, I will use that time to cook some delicious food and have it for the next days. I will use only pantry ingredients and those ingredients which I have in my freezer and fridge. Hi everyone, I'm Irene and on this channel I show how we save money in our family. Today is the cooking day and I will save money by using those ingredients I already have at home. I plan to use an old can of pumpkin puree I have in my pantry, and also I wanted to use some meatballs I had in the freezer for a long time. So let's start cooking. First I will start with the pumpkin pie crust. I will do a homemade crust and into a bowl add flour, half a teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of sugar, and will shred 1 stick of butter into the flour. Using clean hands, I will toss the butter with flour until just coated. Then rub the butter between thumb and forefingers to incorporate in the flour mixture until crumbs form. Then start adding ice water spoon by spoon and push dough between the palm and side of the bowl together into a ball. Do not overwork with the dough or it will be tough. As you can see, I needed just about 2 tablespoons of water, but do not add all water at a time. We live in different climates, each flour is different, so add water carefully. Form a ball, press the dough into a flat disc, place into a plastic bag or cover with plastic wrap and place into the fridge at least 30 minutes before rolling out and forming into a crust. While the dough is in the fridge, I will prepare the filling. Into a bowl I add 2 eggs and whisk them. Then goes sugar and 1 can of pumpkin puree. It's about 15 ounces. Whisk the mixture until smooth and start adding the spices. So into the mixture I add cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg and salt. The ground cloves are optional and I didn't add them. Speaking about the salt, I added 1/4 teaspoon salt, but 2 times because had the bigger teaspoon covered with ginger. Lastly, add 1 can of evaporated milk and whisk until no lumps. I didn't whisk well the evaporated milk and so had some small lumps in the filling. But for us it was totally fine, the pie was still delicious. Set the filling aside and wait for the crust to cool in the fridge. While waiting, I continue with the rest of the recipes, but today I want to show you all the recipes one by one, so we will continue with the pie. Take the crust out of the plastic bag and roll it into a form of a circle on a slightly floured countertop using a rolling pin. The dough will be cracky, but don't worry, just fix any cracks or holes with your fingers. Using a rolling pin, carefully transfer the dough into the pie dish and form the crust edges. Pour the filling into the crust, shake the pie dish a little bit so the filling will distribute evenly. Bake in the preheated to 425 degrees oven for 15 minutes. Then reduce the temperature to 350 Fahrenheit and bake for 40 minutes or until the knife inserted near the center comes out clean. Cool on wire rack for about 2 hours. The irregularity of the crust you see on top of the pie happened accidentally because I inserted a knife and moved my hand, so the knife moved also, and now I have this mess in the middle of the pie. Here is how the pie looks like inside. I really like the smooth texture of the filling and how easy it was to prepare the pie. The next recipe I did today was the meatball pie. I doubled the recipe and will bake 2 pies, but in the description box below you will find a list of ingredients for 1 pie. This is a bowl I used to prepare the crust for the pumpkin pie and didn't wash it because it is mostly clean, and besides 5 minutes ago I prepared a crust in it with the same ingredients like flour or butter. Basically, by not washing the bowl I just saved my time and water. So into the bowl I sift flour, add baking powder, salt and butter to make a homemade biscuit mix. You can use a store-bought mix, but I prefer to do it by myself. When the crumbly mix is ready, I add additional salt and ground black pepper and set the bowl aside to chop the onion. Then I go back to the dry mix and add shredded cheese, milk and whisk well. Add eggs and whisk once again. To save time, you can just add the cheese, milk and eggs together into the bowl and whisk only once. Then I add the chopped onion, mix to wedges, stir and pour the butter into greased pie dishes. Remember, I am making a double batch, so that is why I have 2 pie dishes. The recipe will be for only 1 pie. So I decorate the pies with meatballs and place them into a preheated to 400 Fahrenheit oven for about 25 to 35 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted into the center of the pie comes out clean. I used 18 meatballs for 1 pie. Those parts which have 5 meatballs will be my husband's portion and the smaller ones will be mine. You can use any meatballs amount you have on hand, or can make a vegetarian version and do not add meat at all. Decorate the pie, for example, with the fried tofu or chunks of bell pepper. This is how the baked pie looks like. For this pie I used IKEA meatballs we had in the freezer. We got them with 50% discount during the Christmas season, I believe, so I needed to use them. Our next recipe is chocolate muffins. Into a bowl add butter, sugar, salt and beat well with the mixer for a couple of minutes until fluffy. I don't have mixer, so try to do that with a whisk and with a fork. If you have a mixer, use it, you will save your time and energy. After adding the oil, whisking process became easier. When the mixture is smooth, I start adding eggs one by one, whisking well until smooth after each egg. I doubled the recipe, will make about 24 muffins, but the recipe in the description box below is only for 12 muffins. Finally, I add vanilla, milk, whisk until smooth and set the bowl aside. I am eyeballing the vanilla extract, never measure it, and it is completely fine. If you love vanilla, just add it to your liking. Into a separate bowl, I sift the dry ingredients. Start with flour and then measure how many cacao powder I need. I decided to separately measure the amount of cocoa powder I need and only after that add it to the dry ingredients. This is the cacao powder I use. I buy it at Aldi. Whisk flour with cacao powder and add baking powder to the mixture. Whisk well to distribute the cacao powder well. Add dry ingredients into wet in 3 batches and whisk well after each batch so there will be no lumps. Do not overmix or the muffins will be tough. In the end, add chocolate chips or any other addings you may have. Whisk and fill muffin tins with butter. Fill about 3/4 of a tin so the butter will not escape from the tin when rising in the oven. Bake at 350 Fahrenheit in a preheated oven for about 20 to 25 minutes or until a toothpick inserted into the center of the muffin comes out clean. And here are the chocolate muffins right from the oven. Look how easy I can remove them from the silicone muffin tins. These muffin tins I bought about 8 years ago, but they still work great. These muffins are very soft, but at the same time the tops are a little bit crispy. In the same bowl I will do the pumpkin muffins. Whisk the eggs with sugar, add pumpkin puree and whisk once again. Add oil and whisk until smooth. You can just add all the ingredients into a bowl and whisk once, it will save your time. But I decided today to whisk several times while adding the ingredients. Into a separate bowl I will sift flour, baking powder, baking soda, cinnamon and will add salt. While I am sifting the dry ingredients, you can see those hard lumps of flour in the sifter. This is why it is better to sift your flour so you will not find those lumps later in the muffin. Whisk the dry ingredients and add them to the wet. Whisk to incorporate well and add your addings: chocolate chips, nuts, anything you like. Today I add apple chunks. I took 2 apples, cored them and chopped into chunks without removing the skin. Mix everything until no lumps and transfer the butter into the muffin tins. I use silicone muffin tins as is, but if you will use metal tins, grease them. I use a tablespoon and a teaspoon to fill the muffin tins. Don't have the ice cream scoop or a cookie scoop, but 2 spoons work good for me. Bake in a preheated to 400 Fahrenheit oven for about 16 to 20 minutes or until a toothpick inserted into the center of the muffin comes out clean. These muffins you can easily freeze for up to 6 weeks, and to thaw let them thaw at room temperature for about 1 hour. Or use a microwave to defrost them quickly. But when using a microwave, cover them with damp towel or place a small container with water into the microwave together with the muffins. This way they will not over dry. While the first batch of the muffins is in the oven, I will do the strawberry puree to freeze for winter. Last year I did a strawberry jam, but it has sugar in it, and this year I decided to don't use sugar and just freeze pure strawberry puree. Because it will not contain sugar, I will use it later for pies or as toppings for waffles or pancakes, but we'll add the sugar to our liking, and for waffles maybe we'll not even add any sugar because the strawberries are already sweet. So I already washed the strawberries and removed the green leaves. I will later dry them and use when making a tea, so the tea will have that strawberry scent. Now I just want to remove the rest of the stems, and then we'll puree the strawberries with the immersion blender. Next year I want to try blending them in the food processor. Maybe the texture will be different. We'll see. As containers for my puree, I use clean sour cream plastic containers. I will add a note on each container later indicating what is inside, and will freeze the strawberries this way. I know I can freeze this puree in plastic bags, but I already have these containers, and why not just use them? Besides, when later I will thaw the puree, I will continue keeping it in this container in the fridge. There will be no need to transfer the strawberry puree from the bag to the container. Here comes the second portion of the strawberries. I hate when I see on other YouTube videos how people cut off the green stems together with a part of a strawberry. I realize that it is faster way to cut the stems, but they are wasting so much food. These strawberries I bought on sale, that is why I have so many of them and decided to freeze the puree. You can check my grocery shopping video using the link in the description box below, or it will appear on the top right corner of this video. In that video I show what fruits I bought on sale and share some interesting tips I use when go grocery shopping. Finally, I put the labels and transfer the containers into the freezer. I still have my oven occupied with muffins, so we'll make a really easy and fast peanut chicken recipe. I start with the sauce, and into a small bowl add cornstarch and mix it with chicken broth. In my case I use my homemade broth concentrate, but you can use a store-bought chicken broth. When there are no cornstarch lumps in the mixture, add sugar, soy sauce, white vinegar, cayenne pepper and whisk well. Set the sauce aside and fry the chicken. The chicken should be cut into small pieces, about 3/4 of an inch. Heat the skillet over high heat. Add oil and rotate the skillet to coat the bottom of the skillet with oil. Add chicken and on a high heat stir fry about 3 minutes. Add garlic and ginger root. Mix well and add cubed bell pepper. Stir fry 1 minute. Check the chicken. Cut one piece into 2 parts and check the center. The chicken should be no longer pink in the center. Add broth mixture into the skillet. Cook and stir about 1 minute or until sauce is thickened. I used only half a cup of broth mixture in the beginning, so now I just add half a cup of water to make the chicken more juicy. Stir in peanuts and remove from the heat. Here is the final meal. You can serve this chicken over rice or pasta. This recipe yields 4 servings, but you can easily divide it into 6 servings, especially if you will serve this chicken with a side dish and a salad. My final recipe is Panna Cotta. I will show how to do the vanilla Panna Cotta, and the steps for the chocolate flavor are the same. In a small bowl, whisk gelatin and ice water. Set aside for 10 to 15 minutes. In a medium saucepan, heat the heavy cream, milk and sugar over medium-low heat until sugar dissolves. Do not bring the mixture to a boil. Remove from heat, add vanilla extract and stir. Stir in gelatin and immediately whisk until smooth and gelatin is dissolved. Pass through a sieve and pour the mixture into the glasses. Refrigerate for at least 4 hours. Repeat the same steps with the chocolate flavor, and the only difference is that in the end of the process you should add chopped chocolate into the milky mixture and stir until it melts. These are all the meals I prepped today: pumpkin pie, pumpkin muffins and chocolate muffins. Brown rice I cooked as a side dish to the peanut chicken you can see here. The leftover meatballs can also be eaten with the rice. Here is how the vanilla panna cotta looks like after about an hour in the fridge. 2 batches of meatball pies will be transferred into the food container later. The muffins in smaller containers I will freeze, and the pumpkin pie will go into the fridge. The 2 leftover pieces of the pie you don't see here we will eat now for dinner. Look how soft are these pumpkin muffins. And here you don't see the strawberry puree, it is already in the freezer. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel and save money with us prepping food at home from the ingredients you already have. Don't forget to check the recipes in the description box below. Bye!